So what's the worst number that you can roll on a death save in D&D? A natural 1. That's 2 fails in one breath. And just like that, your character dies. Hi friends, I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom, and this devastating episode of Lashes and Lore is about grief, dice, and the death saves that nobody came back from. We are diving headfirst into Stranger Things Season 4, where every roll counts and no spell can save you. And because this season wrecked me emotionally and gave me too many smoky eye ideas, I'm turning pain into pigment. Every product I'm using to survive this death save disaster is listed below because nothing says emotional support like black eyeliner and blood red lip. So, Season 4 of Stranger Things is what I consider the overall campaign arc, if we're looking at it from a D&D perspective, where no one is okay. The stakes are massive, and the villain is not a big, ugly monster. It is trauma. It is grief. And it's the slow realization that resurrection magic does not always work. And sometimes the dice just say, nah. So you should, grab yourself a D20 and your tissues, because we're diving into a season where every spell slot is spent on damage control, and the cleric is fresh out of diamonds. So Stranger Things Season 4 kind of builds a death-themed horror arc, and it turns your party's wounds into battle maps, and it proves that you really cannot undo a failed death save. Season 4 is what happens after you ignored the warning signs. You let the big bad regroup, and now the campaign starts with a funeral instead of a tavern. So the vibes are different. The party is physically split and emotionally wrecked. In D&D terms, we're starting this arc with, 2 HP and Vecna. Vecna is not a mysterious new threat. He is the villain that shows up on the second page of the campaign guide, underlined, circled, and highlighted in blood. He is final boss. Make no qualms about it. This is your BBEG. He's the final boss that should have arrived 3 arcs from now, but your DM is annoyed and wants to see who survives next. So, Vecna does not just kill people, he collects them. Yeah, like a little collector. Slowly, gruesomely, with flavor text that would make even your edgiest DM whisper, "That's too far." The worst part, every victim feels it coming. His magic is not simple necromancy, no, it is grief-based. So there's that. It's trauma-fueled, and it's psychic horror that rolls with advantage every time. Vecna is not fighting you in the Upside Down. He's fighting you inside your own mind. He turns your worst memories into lair actions. Your regrets are his spell components. And every time you hear that grandfather clock, well, that's the countdown. And not the fun initiative kind. It is your death save timer ticking down. 1 failed roll at a time. Let's be honest though, Vecna is that dungeon master who gets way too into the psychological horror module and forgets that you signed up for fantasy escapism. Babe, we came here for goblins, not therapy. This is not a monster you fight. This is a curse that infects the narrative. And that's why Season 4 really does just hit different. It does not only raise the stakes, it raises the dead emotionally and literally. And if you're unfamiliar with Season 4, this is the one where the song by Kate Bush, "Running Up That Hill," becomes very famous because it is the one song that Max listens to because Vecna is after her, and music seems to be the only thing that keeps him away. So she listens to it in her headphones literally all of the time. So, right, but if Vecna is the villain, what does that make Max? She's not just running from him, she's rolling death saves in real time. Max is not the main character of Season 4. She's the one rolling all the death saves. She's broken isolated, grieving, and that literally makes her Vecna's ideal target. Max does not only run, she resists. She hides. She monologues like she's stalling for a cleric that is definitely not coming. So this is not final girl energy. This is final player energy. The rest of the table has gone silent. The DM is leaning forward and Max is out here rolling natural 20s on willpower alone. But I mean, here's the tea on this. The showrunners pulled a full DM move. They built a death scene. They played the resurrection music. And then they said, she lives. Kind of. Which is worse. It's not resurrection. It's limbo. Ugh. Every failed death saves brings you closer to permanent death. And Max fails 3. Then something even worse happens. Okay, but imagine hitting 0 hit points, failing your death saves, and the DM says, cool, but I'm keeping your soul as a plot point for the next session. Vecna does not just try to kill Max, he marks her. He turns her into the campaign's living death flag. She proves the resurrection spell did not take. The rules are broken, and this game has consequences now, even more than you thought before. And when Kate Bush starts playing and her memories flash like a cutscene, it is Max making her own role to live. And it just barely works. But here's a question. What happens when you bring back a character who should have died? What do you do when the healer is gone? The spells have failed, and your death saves do not reset. So I think I have purchased every single thing in the Stranger Things ColourPop collection to do today's makeup. I am not sponsored, just a nerd. So the party, it cannot heal. Max is technically alive, functionally gone though, and the party has nothing left in the tank. If this was a D&D table, this is the scene where the cleric says, I'm out of spell slots. And the paladin is bleeding out, and the bard says, I can inspire someone once. The classic, we are about to TPK energy. Okay, so Lucas, he stays. He holds Max's hand, and he chooses to fail the quest, to stay with her. That is the most heroic thing a party member can do. Put people before the plot. But here's the twist. Unlike some DMs, the DM does not fudge the roll here. There is no divine intervention, no convenient healing potion, no power of friendship save, just a hard stop on Max's story. Elle tries to fix it from the astral plane with a spell that's pure emotion, and it still does not work. She brings Max back, but not really whole. For the first time in the series, a main character does not get up. The magic fails. This is the part of the campaign where you realize that the DM has stopped describing victory conditions. There is no XP for surviving this one. Only trauma points? I mean, those are totally a thing in life and D&D. What do you do when the party's healer cannot heal? And what happens when resurrection leaves scars instead of salvation? And I'll take this moment to shout out to every DM who said, you can revive them, but they are coming back, changed, different. We see you out there. We see you. So grief is not a character flavor anymore. It is literally the campaign's new tone. The kids do not bounce back. They break. And so does the world around them. While they try to save Max, the final boss wins. Vecna is already setting the map on fire. And everything just seems so out of control. Okay, let's take a deep breath and say, Eddie Munson, metalhead, dungeon master, freak, hero, the man who went from high school scapegoat to bardic legend in one season. And then the narrative crit failed him. Eddie did not only play D&D, he lived it. The minute the campaign went sideways, he picked up the dice and rolled with it. He is chaotic good heart, hit dice full of trauma, and when things went to hell, he did not run, He did not flip the table. He fought. He took on a flock of demonic bats with a guitar solo. And if you do not think that is like metal level 20, move. Please. See yourself out of my campaign. Okay. Moving on. Also, this blush is like black from the... not sponsored. It's just cool. Anyway. But, you know, here's the part that hurts. Eddie was not just the party's, like, wild card. He was their mirror. He showed every one of them what bravery actually looks like without plot armor. No powers, no prophecy, no long-lost siblings. Just a guy who loves fantasy and got caught up in the horror of it all. And the dice still didn't fall in his favor. So rolling initiative against Hellbats, bad. Rolling a natural 1 on your survival check, tragic. Doing it while performing Metallica on top of a haunted trailer roof, iconic. So when, like, Eddie dies, it's not just simply sad. It is a campaign-defining moment. And that is the moment that the party, they realize the stakes are absolutely real. This is not pretend, whether you thought it was at one point or not. It's definitely not now. Characters do not just quietly disappear or get rested. They go out fighting. And Dustin's grief, well, that just proves it. He wisecracks through monsters and multiverses, but he cannot joke or wisecrack through this. They gave him the perfect death. They knew what they were doing. Every dungeon master knows the heartbreak value of letting the one that everyone loves be the hero. But what does it mean when the NPC that you wrote off as comic relief becomes the emotional anchor for the whole story? And if you're a dungeon master, sometimes the most powerful move a DM can make is to let the dice fall where they may. Let the bard die a legend. Let the party feel it. Eddie did not run. Maybe that was the most powerful role of all. In this one, the final battle was not the normal Hawkins showdown. It was a multi-phase boss fight with split arenas, legendary actions, and clock ticking inside everyone's skull. L is mind-dueling Vecna, psychic versus psychic, no cover, no safety net. Max is bait, brave and doomed, at the heart of the trap. Lucas is the front line, fists and fury against a monster that he cannot see. Dustin is carrying the weight of a death flag across broken boards and bad footing. The others scramble through side missions. That all matters, and none of it is enough. It's chaos, it's tragic, it's cinematic D&D, and every single move feels wrong. And not because it's poorly written, but because you can feel the inevitable split initiatives, multiple planes, failed perception checks, everyone rolling death saves while the villain refreshes their legendary resistance, like some kind of flex. Vecna basically says, "You thought this was the finale. That's adorable. This is phase 1 of your grief arc." And when Max dies, that is not a turning point. That is a reveal. They already lost. Elle wins a battle in the mind, kind of, but it is the worst kind of victory. The DM says, sure, you can stabilize the body, but the soul is gone. And then the ground of Hawkins splits open, like it rolled a natural 1 on the material plane. The rift is not a wound anymore. It is a gate. And that is where the fight ends, but the campaign does not. And after that, there is no celebration, only silence. The kind that follows when the dice stop rolling and everyone is still crying around the table. So here's our final look. I kind of went for a vampire thing, subtle. But anyways, if season 4 is a D&D campaign, this is where the DM leans in and says, there's no saving throws for this. But here's the kicker. Vecna did not lose. He transformed. he completed the ritual. Hawkins is fractured. The upside down, it's here now. It's in this plane, so that's terrifying. Our heroes are breathing, but they're not winning. Max's story is the literal embodiment of a failed death save. The cost was paid, and the resurrection did not work. The party is staring at an empty character sheet, wondering if she is ever coming back. Congratulations, you technically beat the boss. Your reward is psychological damage and an NPC in a coma. Roll for therapy. Sometimes the dice do not care, and sometimes the writers don't either. It is brutal, it is unfair, and it is very D&D. You can do everything right, stick together, make sacrifices, fight to the bitter end, and the dice still say no. But here's the thing. They are still here, still fighting, still trying. Well, in a real game of D&D, sometimes the game does not give you closure. The growth that comes from surviving the aftermath, that's the story. The real horror this season is not what comes through the rift. It is what stays when it doesn't close. And the worst part, they still have to get up in the morning and, keep going. Don't we all? Stranger Things Season 5 is almost here. We'll see what they do. And if you are watching all of these videos out of order, I love that chaotic energy for you. The full playlist with seasons 1 through 4 and my unhinged D&D parallels is linked in the description below. And be sure to join me on my free Patreon so that you can know first what I'm cooking up next. I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom, and this was Lashes and Lore, where the eyeliner is sharp, the lore is messy, and sometimes the monsters win. Be good to each other, love each other, and as always, free mom hugs from me to you. Bye. I'll see you next time.